Hello everyone, my name is Zach, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another video from the car. There might be a lot more of these in the near future, just because it's easier for me just to drive somewhere and sit in the back of a parking lot and film than get the house to myself, but that's neither here nor there. We are back in the car to talk about yet another book Twitter dumpster fire, because hell world. So today we're not talking about canceled readathons, we're not talking about booktuber to booktuber beef. No, instead we're talking about authors and prominent artists basically bullying a booktuber. Alright, so our story begins with a booktuber who I was unfamiliar with up until this point, but her name is Mina from Mina Reads, and after this whole situation, we definitely stand Mina, so I will link Mina's Twitter and channel in the description below. Please check her out, give her some support after this, because she needs it, because she's been through a lot of shit recently. But she decided to write a nice little thought-provoking tweet that read, "That Charlie something artist has such amazing work, but I do believe that every single face they draw looks exactly the same. No variation in the shape at all. I wonder if that's indicative of their art style, or do authors only write about pale, skinny, high-cheekboned people?" Now, the artist in question is Charlie Bowater, who did the covers for both of Margaret Rogerson's books, and she's also got some fan art of prominent series like A Court of Mist and Fury and Throne of Glass. I'm going to link Charlie's website down in the description below. I'm a little scared to put up any images of Charlie's artwork because I don't want this video to be copyright struck or anything, so I'm just not even going to go there. But before we move on to Charlie, I just want to do a little bit of a rhetorical analysis. This is something you learn to do in like late middle, early high school, so like people on Twitter should be able to do this, but apparently they can't, but we'll get there when we get there. So Mina starts off by complimenting Charlie, saying that Charlie does such amazing work, okay, and then pairs that compliment up with a little bit of critique, saying that their faces look very similar, there's very little variation. Then the second sentence suggests that maybe this problem could be just the artist's fault, but it also could be the fact that they're working from books, and that the source material, the descriptions they have to work from to create these faces, are more indicative of the types of books that get popular and the type of books that get published. Now, my personal critique of Mina, she says, do authors only write about pale, skinny, high cheekbone people? Yes and no. I feel like it's not that authors only write about that, it's that authors are incentivized to write about that because that's what the publishing industry publishes a lot of the time, and it's what they promote, and it's what gets famous a lot of the time. Sure, some artists might prefer or only write about characters like that, but at the end of the day, sometimes authors might write about that because there's a higher chance that they will actually get published, they can actually pay their bills, they can make writing their livelihood like they've always dreamed. So sometimes it's what the author wants, and sometimes it's, hey, my dreams of becoming an author depends on getting published, and so I'm going to write where the money is. So that's a little critique of Mina's point, but I definitely agree with her overall idea that Charlie Bowater's similar faces are more indicative of the current state of publishing and of books than it is of Charlie Bowater's work herself. Unfortunately, Charlie Bowater's fans disagreed. They decided to attack Mina, asking her where her artwork was, how many book covers has she designed, and even going so far as to tag Charlie Bowater and make her aware of this tweet. Now, Charlie Bowater, being seemingly pretty prominent member of the community, having 46.7 thousand followers when I last checked, you'd think she would be, used to handling criticism, would maybe take it in stride, maybe say, hey, thanks for the feedback. Nope. So Charlie Bowater responded to Mina in 2 tweets I'm going to read here. "It's really easy to sit on Twitter and criticize, but I've tried really hard to push face variety over the years. Not saying I've succeeded or drawn every type of person that I would like to, but it's an ongoing journey, and not something that I find easy. I rarely illustrate for myself these days at all, and it may come as a shock to some people, but no, I don't control the characters that authors write about, in regards to my professional work. I do love a killer cheekbone, though." The really frustrating part about this response is it's almost good. It's almost good. If Charlie had left it to, I'm trying to push facial variety, I don't really illustrate for myself, and yes, I don't control the characters that authors write about, and then ended with the "I do love a killer cheekbone," though, I don't think any of this would have happened. It wouldn't have been an issue. She would have responded to Mina. She would have been polite about it. She would have basically agreed with Mina's point that it's not really her fault that a lot of her characters look the same. She's working with similar descriptions every time, so that's going to result in a face that's similar most of the time. And then ended with a comment to show, hey, I'm not mad, just going to roll with this, just going to roll with that criticism. But she had to start off with, it's really easy to sit on Twitter and criticize. Now, going back to the rhetorical analysis, if you really think Mina criticized Charlie Bowater, which, it's kind of a personal thing, but you will at least have to admit that Mina started off with a compliment and then paired it with a critique. Not only that, but she framed the critique as maybe not even Charlie's fault, which Charlie goes on to corroborate in her own tweets, but then says Mina's criticizing her. I refuse to think you can get this far in this industry and not be able to read and perform rhetorical analysis, which, like I said, is like late middle, early high school English stuff. You learn this very young, and so it should have been really easy for Charlie to realize that basically Mina was saying, let's not see Charlie Bowater's work, the tree, let's see the forest, the overall lack of diversity in the publishing industry and the books that get big. Like I said before, even if you feel like Mina was criticizing Charlie, she didn't even tag Charlie. She didn't even use Charlie's full name, whether that's because Mina really couldn't remember that or because she didn't want her fans coming after her. I'm not really sure. I do that with Stephen King. I usually put asterisks in his name because I don't want the King stands to come after me because it's just annoying. But even then, it was compliment, critique, and then suggestion that that critique may not even be her fault. This is such gentle criticism, if criticism at all, and the fact that Charlie Bowater, with her 40,000 plus followers, took this as an attack is pretty telling. Are you willingly ignorant, or did you just not even try to understand the point Mina was trying to make? Then, to make matters worse, Kristoff decided to ring in on the whole issue. Buddy, what the hell? He said, the internet is full of folks who create nothing but worthless noise. Your work is extraordinary, my friend. What the actual fuck? First of all, again, what Mina said is not mean or horrible. It was a gentle critique, if anything, with a compliment included. Second of all, the actual meaning of this tweet is to talk about diversity in the publishing industry, coming from a person of color. And if that's worthless noise, you have a screwed up definition of it. A lot of the reading community speaks out in support of diverse books. We recommend them, we try to boost them, own voices, characters of color, neurodiversity, all these things. We want diversity. Even people like me who are in majority groups that have had representation of characters over the years. We want to see new and interesting characters that are like our minority group friends. We want to see them have characters that they can relate to. We want to see those friends represented on the page and be able to say, hey, I was reading about this character and it made me think of you because they're just like you, and all these things. To say that a tweet suggesting we need more diversity in our books and in our covers is worthless noise just boggles my mind, especially coming from Kristoff. My impression of Kristoff, at least when I first heard of him, was he seemed to be pretty in touch with the online reading community. He was sharing the fan art. He was, retweeting fan reactions to Dark Dawn. He seemed like someone who understood social media and how to work the game, and, he seemed like a cool guy. This ruins that whole image to me, and now it just kind of has soured me on Kristoff, at least for the time being. If he comes out and apologizes, which I haven't heard if he has yet, then maybe that will change. But for the time being, what the fuck, man? So that's kind of the situation. Like I said, please go and support Mina. Take the time to watch her videos and, give her some thumbs up, give her some love, because she probably really could use it at this time. But I kind of want to talk about kind of the takeaways from this situation, like I talked about the takeaways from the canceled readathon. I feel like if you are an online personality, for lack of a better word, if you have your own channel, you should really be careful about how you respond to criticism, especially if voice is a lot smaller than your own. And also just know your influence, I guess. Because the thing is that the larger you become as a personality, the more hardcore fans you get. People that will take whatever you say as gospel. Jay Kristoff has talked about in the past that he has had people come up to him and say that his books might be the reason they're alive. If you truly believe an author saved your life, you're probably going to be willing to go bat for them or bat for their friend in a situation where they say, this person is being demeaning towards me or towards my friend, even if that's not really the truth. And if you're a person that develops a following, I ask you to keep that in mind and be careful about that. And I think this is especially true when someone doesn't even tag you. If someone comes after you in your comment section or they tag you directly to say something mean to your face, that's one thing, because then, you're coming right at me, so I'm going to respond to you. But Mina not only didn't tag Charlie, she didn't even use her full name. And Jay Kristoff wasn't involved in the situation at all until he made himself there. I also think you have a responsibility to talk to your friends with followings and say, hey, I know your feelings might have been hurt, but this was a wrong thing to post. They weren't really attacking you. They were kind of attacking the industry and using you as kind of a case study or an example of that. I think you should take that down and apologize. I'm sorry you're hurt, but it was the wrong call to make. Jay Kristoff really should have done that, but he didn't. He decided to dogpile on the situation and make it even worse. Luckily, a lot of his fans did not appreciate what he said and have been taking him to task over it, which I feel like he rightfully deserves. But I guess that's it. Just, you got to be mindful, especially the bigger you get and the smaller of a person you're responding to, because chances are they're going to get just inundated with responses from your fans, even if you don't tell them to go after that person. And you don't want to create a situation where someone's getting bullied for having a legitimate critique of you or a friend, or even a critique that is tackling a bigger issue because you perceive it as a personal critique. So I guess that's it. I know that message won't apply universally because not everyone has a huge following, but hopefully some people who watch this have quite a bit of following. Even if you have 5,000 or 10,000 followers or subscribers, like, you have influence, and you, I think, really should be careful with that influence, because even if you don't tell your followers to do things, sometimes followers look up to you so much and love you so much that they're going to act in what they think is your best interest, even if you don't ask them to. So I think that is going to be it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said several times, please go support Mina. Social media responsibly, and don't tolerate bullshit. If you work in the publishing industry, more diversity, please. We're begging you. We want it. We're ready for it. We've been ready for it. We want you to catch up. And I guess just have a nice day. I will see you all next time.